teenager walks under the lights. The roar is for him. Luke Littler. He was the youngest to reach a world final since records began. He won 11 professional titles in a single year, and millions of people watched every throw. But with superstardom this fast, the line between support and scrutiny shatters. At an age when most people are learning who they are, he had to perform who he was. But here is what people missed. When the crowd finally turns, what price does a prodigy pay for becoming the future of darts? How did Luke Littler become the face of darts and also become a target? Before his name filled arenas, Luke Littler's story played out in quiet youth halls and crowded local leagues. At just 8, he wore an England shirt in junior internationals. He hit 9 dart finishes in Gibraltar, and he collected medals at the WDF British Internationals and the Youth Europe Cup. By 2019, he was lifting the JDC Super 16 trophy. The pace was quick and the signs were unmistakable. The next 2 years brought a run of youth titles: England Open, British Classic, Welsh Classic, Irish Classic, each one adding to his reputation as a prodigy who made winning look routine. The 2022 JDC World Youth Championship at Alexandra Palace set him apart. While most teenagers were still learning the basics, Littler was crowned world champion on the sport's most famous stage. But here is what people missed. In 2023, the pace accelerated further. He swept 4 PDC Development Tour events, he threw a 9-dart finish in Development Tour 20, and he defended his Modus Super Series Champion of Champions title, a first in the event's history. By the time he entered the senior circuit, Littler had outgrown the junior ranks. He did not just qualify for the PDC World Darts Championship, he stormed to the final as a 16-year-old debutant, defeating legends and breaking records along the way. Prize money passed £1.5 million in his first full year. The rise felt almost unstoppable. By 2025, Littler had claimed the World Championship, the Premier League, and more than 10 major titles, all before his 18th birthday. The calendar barely kept up with his trophy count. And this is where it gets darker. The faster the climb, the less time left to catch your breath. What happens when the climb leaves no time to breathe? Spotlights never flickered off once Luke Littler reached the top. Every new record, every trophy, every perfect leg became more than a stat, they became a headline. Newspapers did not just report his wins, they built a myth. They called him the future of darts, splashed across back pages and breaking news tickers. TV panels debated his next move before he had even left the stage. Tournament posters swapped out legends for his face. Sponsors circled, offering contracts and endorsements that would have seemed impossible for a teenager just a year before. Prize money climbed past 7 figures, outpacing careers twice as long. By 17, Littler's earnings and social media reach made him not just the youngest world champion, but the most talked about player in the sport. With each major win, people stopped asking, can he do it? And asked instead, how long can he keep this up? Every match became a referendum, every average dissected in real time. The numbers, 180 scores, averages 9 darters, turned into expectations. The calendar filled with press days and photo shoots, not just practice sessions. It was not enough to play well. He had to embody the promise, the investment, the hype. But here is what people missed. When the world decides you are a symbol, every dart you throw is aimed at someone else's idea of you. And this is where it gets darker, because the microscope never blinks. How long can a teenager under that microscope survive? March 2024. At the Belgian Darts Open semi-final, Luke Littler faced Riccardo Pietreczko in a match remembered for more than the score. Littler, then 17, stepped up for a 147 checkout attempt. He went for treble 19, then tops, then bull, and he missed the finish, drawing a sharp glare from his opponent. At the center of the stage, as hands met, Pietreczko leaned in and said, "Don't do it again." Littler's answer was simple. What? The tension was anything but simple. The usual handshake was cut short. No smiles, no pleasantries. The moment hung in the air, the crowd buzzing with confusion and whispers. Within hours, Pietreczko posted to Instagram. The message, translated bluntly, read, "I hope his arrogance punishes him." The words spread fast. Some called Littler's 147 attempt a sign of confidence. Others saw disrespect. But here is what people missed. On Sky Sports, Littler explained, "I didn't know what I did wrong, I just tried to take the finish." But he let that get to him. The quote landed like evidence. Suddenly every gesture became evidence. Was it swagger or something more? The line between confidence and arrogance blurred, and the story left the oach. Because the next part does not play out in the arena at all. It plays out on every phone screen. When a single moment jumps from stage to screen, what happens to the player? One clip, one handshake, and the story refused to die. The Belgian darts Open semi-final did not just end on stage. It multiplied, echoing across every feed and forum. Within hours, the moment between Littler and Pietreczko was clipped, subtitled, and reshared by dozens of unofficial accounts. Each upload spun a new headline, framing the exchange as either a teenage prodigy's confidence or a sign of arrogance. The original incident faded into the background as the remix chain took over. A single Instagram story became a TikTok montage, then a meme on darts forums, then a debate on X, each version stripped further from the match itself. The numbers behind the spread told their own story. After Littler's run at the World Match Play, Google search interest jumped by 270%, a spike with no off switch. But what no one could measure was the sentiment behind the clicks. No dataset tracked how many saw a highlight as a joke, or as evidence, or as a warning. The mechanics of virality worked faster than any fact check. Once a clip entered the algorithm, it became permanent, replaying on phones in living rooms, in pubs, and even in backstage corridors. The line between what happened and what people believed blurred with every share. But here is what people missed, and this is where it gets darker, because when the noise refuses to fade, the pressure does not just stay online, it follows you everywhere. When the noise follows you everywhere, what does that do to the player and to the game itself? Autograph lines stretch past the barriers, sometimes pressing close enough to blur the line between fan and player. Security teams kept a watchful eye, but no protocol could slow the tide of outstretched shirts and camera phones. At venues like Alexandra Palace and Minehead, Littler's walk from stage to corridor became a gauntlet. Handshakes, selfies, requests, all in the space of a few meters. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement, but the crowd's reach grew longer with every headline. Some fans waited hours for a signature, pressing forward as soon as the match ended, eager for a piece of the moment. Yet for all the attention, the support behind the scenes lagged far behind. The Professional Darts Corporation offered youth tours and practice boards, but there was no formal welfare scheme for teenage professionals, no dedicated staff to help a 17-year-old navigate sudden fame, or to draw a line when the crowd pressed too close. Littler's schedule filled with matches and media, but the gap between public access and private safety kept widening. And this is where it gets darker, because when the world wants a piece of you, who decides how much is left? Trophies line the shelves, but the glare never softens. At just 17, Luke Littler became the youngest world champion darts has ever seen, his name etched into the record books before most finished school. Headlines screamed his age, his earnings, and his averages. Each new title brought a fresh wave of attention, and with it a new kind of scrutiny. The narrative quickly twisted. How long could he hold on? Was this dominance sustainable? Or was it a sprint toward collapse? Panic headlines surfaced after every rare dip in form, sparking speculation about burnout and stories that hinted at exhaustion. Whispers of a downfall waited just out of frame. But here is what people missed. Even after lifting the world trophy, the questions grew louder. Would the pressure break him? Could anyone, even a prodigy, survive this pace. When the applause finally fades, what does the price of winning really look like? Right now, more than 1 million eyes track every move Luke Littler makes, online and on stage. As Dart's fame grows younger and faster, the real opponent is not on the Osh. It is the pressure we create. When a teenager becomes a symbol, people stop letting him be human. But here is what people missed. Who pays the price of winning? And have you seen what winning really costs?